In this first session, we will set up Rocky Linux 9 and we will install Ansible on the machine. We'll see how Ansible works. So to create the machine, let's create a new machine here with the name server. The server will be Rocky server. ISO image, I have already downloaded this Rocky Linux 9. You can see this ISO, it is downloaded and available here in folder. You have to download this Rocky Linux. I'll show you where to download from. Next, this is username, a default user, non-privileged user, username and password. So give any username. Host name is server.example.com and domain is also example.com. Install in the background, no. Guest additions are located here. Next, I'm giving 4 GB RAM to this machine. I have 16 GB RAM on my machine, so it's okay to give me 4 GB RAM and 2 processors. There I have 12 processors, so I can safely give 2 processors to this machine. 20 GB, I'll be installing a lot of software, so it's better I give 29, 30 GB space, disk space, virtual disk space to this machine, and then finish. Now we'll look at the settings of this machine before the machine is started. It is powering on. Now I don't want to, I will power off because I need to look at certain settings. So go to the settings, and because I need one more adapter. This adapter, host only adapter, will allow me to access this machine from my host machine. Generally, the virtual machines are called guest machines, and these virtual machines are guest machines, and the machine where these machines are created, they are called host machine. So if you're using VMware Workstation also, in that case, the virtual machine will be the guest machine, and the physical machine where it is installed, that is the host machine. So it is adapter number 1 and adapter number 2. There are two adapters. First is NAT to allow a network internet connectivity. Second is this. Rest, we can check the floppy disk. We don't need floppy disk. I can disable. Processor, 2 processors. That's fine. Display, RAM, storage, audio. I don't need audio for this. Network, serial ports, USB, I will not be needing it. So I can unnecessary requirement. This is virtual hardware. So we can minimize the hardware to make this machine efficient and secure. So now we can start this machine. We need to check the setting once again. Device not connected. That Rocky which I added that was not inserted. Now it is inserted. Yes. Testing is not required because I have already tested this. So I'm straight away going to install Rocky Linux 9, which is RHEL 9 or Oracle 9 or Scientific Linux 9. CentOS word is gone now. CentOS is no more used. It is Rocky, which has replaced CentOS. Interface wise, everything is same, only the brand and name is changed. So you'll see everything's more or less same. Like this is the installation. If you have done installation earlier, it is same interface. Only the logo and this image is changed, nothing else. Cool. So I want to select English language, English United States. Now software selection, server with GUI, that's a good selection. I can select packages, this FTP or anything. Particularly my interest will be legacy, Unix compatibility and development tools. I don't need .NET. However, I can select if I need graphical administration tools and then scientific security tools. It's not that I'm selecting just whatever coming to my mind. Nothing. I don't have this list in my mind. So whatever I feel that that is good for me, I'm selecting that. So this is server with the GUI will be installed. Then we need to select the installation destination. We need to select the disk. This is disk which is selected. So root password I need to set. Lock root account no. Allow root SSH login with password yes. Otherwise, if you will not be able to SSH this machine as root user with password. Now it is a security feature which was not there earlier. This option allow root SSH we can fix and we can decide right now. So weak password require double click, I mean click twice. Language, date and time, installation destination, software packages, all seems to be good. Let's select the installation. It's very easy. You can download. Let me show you from where to download this in the meanwhile. Just select Rocky Linux download. So this is Rocky Linux, and if you want to check the CentOS 8 for example, then you will see CentOS project. So this is Rocky Linux and Rocky Linux 9. Download official release of Rocky from one of these trusted mirrors, Rocky 8. Session 1, introducing Ansible. The agenda of this session is simple, two things. What do you know about Ansible? If you don't know nothing, I mean if you don't know anything, then by the end of this lecture you'll know what Ansible is and how to install Ansible, and I will be demonstrating that. So we need to know why we are studying Ansible. Obviously, unless we know the requirement, there's no point learning the technology. So this is good old days, and I have seen all these things in my life. I worked on it. Like earlier, system admin used to create virtual machines. The virtual machine created, and then the system administrator will use to kickstart the operating system, server ready, then operating system image, and then a lot of things the system administrator used to do. And the information assurance should create a security baselining, and finally the approved server was handed over to the ops team. So it is hard to run IT operations this way and deliver flexible and agile IT services, or being the ops in the DevOps. And yes, you can work the cloud in the same old way. That's the old ways, how we used to do it earlier. But nothing routine should be done manually now. The sysadmin can use a push button using Ansible and create virtual machine by click of a button or by executing one file simply. After the file is ready, after the machine is ready, he can simply create multiple playbooks, one or more playbooks, and you can deploy using Ansible, whether it is provisioning or patching or configuring or baseline security, everything he can do with the help of Ansible playbooks. So even the maintenance can be looked after using Ansible pool of running servers. So that's the situation now. We prefer doing it automatically, not manually. Ansible is an open source configuration management and provisioning tool. Yes, it is mainly configuration management, not recommended for provisioning tool. However, in some situations you can use it. Yes, I'm very clear when I'm saying this. It is not recommended to use provisioning tool. You should restrict it for configuration management and deployment. Why? I'll tell you. Terraform and Ansible, that's the main difference. If you want a disposable environment, for example, you create it, you try it, you test it, do it, finish it, and now destroy it. The destroy part, if you have thousands of servers, imagine it's not, I'm not talking about one server, two servers, thousands of servers. You're creating thousands of servers with Ansible after working for some testing and for some beta launch or something for temporary requirement. After that, you cannot terminate them with automatically with Ansible. So that is the main problem, that the destroy part, if you want to include the complete life cycle, if you want to include, that is from create to work to destroy. So creation and destroy is better done with the Terraform, not with Ansible. So I'll still say that yes, you can provision machines, but when it comes to life cycle, complete life cycle management, then it's not recommended. It's recommended that you go for Terraform when it comes to provisioning. As far as configuration management is concerned, Ansible is excellent in that, and similar to Chef and Puppet as well. It uses SSH to connect to the servers and run the configuration task. Yes, as long as you can SSH into the machine, you are good to go. Nothing special, no agent required. Unlike Chef and Puppet and other software management tools or configuration management tools, they require some agent, some application running on the target machine to allow that to be managed by the tool. As an example, if you want Chef agent must be installed or Puppet agent must be installed on the remote machine. Even in Jenkins, you need to have agent installed. So that's the main problem, that you require agent tools. But in case of Ansible, you don't need anything. You just need SSH. As long as you can SSH into the machine, you are good to go start working with the Ansible. Founded in 2013, bought by Red Hat in 2015. Simple automation language that perfectly describe IT application environments in Ansible playbooks. Playbook consists of multiple plays. Play consists of tasks. So when you create task, a task is implementation of a module. So as an example, this is a playbook. Name, then this is a task. This is one task. This is another task. Every task is a part of implementation of a module. So this is all you will learn in this course, that what is a task, what are modules, how to work with modules, how to use Ansible to configure systems remotely. Why Ansible? It is simple. Human readable automation tool, no special coding skills required, tasks executed in order, usable by every team, get productive quickly. It's a very powerful tool. App deployment, configuration management, workflow orchestration, network automation, orchestrate the app lifecycle. App lifecycle, repeating, app lifecycle, not machine lifecycle. I'm not recommending that. That's the experience I'm sharing. I don't recommend that you use provisioning, you provision the machine using Ansible. But yes, as far as application is concerned, this is excellent. Whether it is deploying one file on the remote machine, or installing an application, or configuring the application, or making changes, everything can be easily managed with Ansible. So complete orchestrate the complete life cycle. The difference between orchestration and automation is very interesting to understand. Automate term is used for one specific task, one job. If you can do one job automatically, that is automation. So automate one task. When we comes to orchestration, we define orchestration as systematic workflow of executing automated tasks. For example, if I say create a WordPress website, I give you one line input. So the complete requirement from start to end would be create a machine first, install operating system on that machine, then install PHP, Apache, MySQL means the database and the language and that stuff, and then install WordPress and then configure it. Install the database and import the database and run the installer. So if I execute all these tasks automatically, systematically, with a proper workflow, that will be orchestration. So orchestration is possible with the automation, and when we create a sequential flow, a proper flow of automated task, we comes out with what is known as orchestration. Agentless, as I said, very interesting thing, easy thing about Ansible, you don't need any agent on the remote machine to be managed by Ansible. Use OpenSSH and Win remote management, that is Windows. This is for Windows, this is for SSH for Linux. No agent to exploit or update. Get started immediately, more efficient and more secure. That's the power of Ansible. The Ansible way, cross-platform, agentless support for all major operating system variants, physical, virtual, cloud, and network devices. You learn one and you are good to go. It's nothing special about specific operating system related machines or specific cloud, because as long as you know the job. You can do it anywhere, whether it is cloud or physical machine or virtual machine. Human readable, perfectly describe and document every aspect of your application environment. Perfect description of application. Every change can be made by playbooks, ensuring everyone is on the same page. Version controlled. Playbooks are plain text. Treat them like your code files. So put them into a GitHub or version control system. Dynamic inventories. Dynamic inventories is perfect use case would be the cloud, where instances will come and go. So Ansible require the inventory. Inventory here refer to the list of machines to be managed by Ansible. We create list of machines to be managed by Ansible. Static is when we do it ourselves. Dynamic is when we use some kind of plugin or extension to pull the list of machines to be managed by Ansible directly. So dynamic entry inventories are supported for any cloud service provider, and Ansible use the dynamic inventory plugin to pull the machines and their state dynamically. So capture all servers 100% of the time, regardless of infrastructure, location, etc. Orchestration plays well with others. Every change can be made by playbooks, ensuring everyone is on the same page. So what can I do with Ansible? You can automate the deployment and management of your entire IT footprint. Like do this: configuration management, orchestration, application deployment, provisioning, continuous delivery, security and compliance. And these on firewalls, on load balancer, application, containers, cloud, network devices, storage, infrastructure, servers, and more. So you can do a lot of activities on lot of resource categories with Ansible. No agent required. Point to be noted. This is a database server, for example, no agent. This is application server, no agent. Web server, no agent. Ansible running on control host. As long as you have SSH, you can push the code, push your configuration on the remote machines directly from Ansible. Ansible uses SSH. The architecture of Ansible is we install Ansible on control node or the master node or whatever node you call it, the server, using pip3 install Ansible. Earlier we used to have pip, now it is pip3. So install pip and then you create inventory. Inventory is list of machines, as I said, which will be managed by Ansible. On this control node, you create inventory. You categorize, you group your machines by putting them in INI format groups like web group, DB group. There are three machines in this web group. There are two machines in this uh, in the DB group. Then you create playbooks. For example, this is a playbook which is to be executed on web group, and this is to be executed on DB group. So this playbook will be directly pushed to the three machines under web group, and this playbook will be pushed to database group where we have two machines. So you create inventory file, you create playbooks, and you push them remotely, whether web group or database group, both will be executed remotely and will be played on the remote machine. That's how Ansible works. That's Ansible architecture. Whether it is public cloud or private cloud, when we have configuration management, all these can be part of the input, or directly as a user you can directly send the commands to Ansible, or you can create Ansible playbook. So Ansible can take input from the configuration management database CMDB, from any cloud, from a user in terms of ad hoc commands or Ansible playbooks. The Ansible automation engine have the inventory, have the API, modules and plugins. The modules makes the task. Every task is nothing but implementation of a module which will perform one specific task efficiently. Plugins gives extension power to Ansible. Like as I said, dynamic inventory is implemented using plugins. Application programming interface is the way to interact with the remote machines through SSH. So public cloud or private cloud or individual hosts or apps and services or network services, all these things can be managed by Ansible. This is how Ansible works. There are around 1000, in fact more than 1000 modules, and the magic happens with these modules. Where if it is cloud, all these clouds are supported: AWS, Azure, CenturyLink, CloudScale, DigitalOcean, Docker, Google, OpenStack, Rackspace, and many more. I'm using Oracle Cloud also. I've been delivering training for Oracle. Virtualization and containers: Docker, VMware, RHEV, Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization, OpenStack, OpenShift, Atomic, CloudStack, and more. Windows, access control list, files, commands, packages in this IIS. All these things are supported. Network, all these networks are supported. Notify, all these notification services are supported, whether it is Slack or email or Jabber or HipChat, anything. So module helps you manage these categories of resources using Ansible. This is the real magical thing. Ansible Galaxy contains many ready to use roles and the modules. When you go to Galaxy, you can see what all possibilities are there. Galaxy.ansible.com. Installing Ansible. To install Ansible on the machine, the server machine, we require Python 3. On the managed node, the node to be managed by Ansible, we need SSH. By default, it uses SFTP. That's not available. You can switch to SCP also. You need Python 2.6 or later on the control plane and Python 3. Any version of Python will work. Remember, Ansible goes through the Python. Actually, it uses Python to make changes in the configuration management. Install Python and pip. This is how you install. Yum install Python 3, Python 3 pip. Once installed, we can simply confirm using by checking the version, Python 3 hyphen version, and then we install pip 3.6. 3.6 install upgrade pip, and we can now verify the version. That will show you which version. In fact, that's worth watching what we will have in Rocky, which version of pip. That will be definitely to be watched out for. What do we have in Rocky Linux 9? Which version of Python? Python 3.6 or 2, or which version, and which pip3 will be installed? And that we will watch because I'm going to demonstrate the installation right after this. Install Ansible. So DNF for CentOS 8 and CentOS 9 or Rocky 9. Yum for RHEL 6 or 7. So Yum or DNF, both meaning same thing. Do the installation. Install Git and Ansible or any other package you feel like. Then check the configuration under etc Ansible, Ansible.cfg. Additional packages like Jinja 2 is a templating engine, which we will discuss in detail because that's a very good tool to learn about Ansible. What is Jinja 2? We'll be working with Jinja 2 as well. Verify the installation of Ansible. That will complete the installation. Which installation? So as you can see here, it is 2.8.4, but that we will watch out for the actual version on Rocky 9, what will be installed after I finish this. That's all for this lecture. I hope my installation is complete by now. Let's go to the installation of Ansible on Rocky 9. Excellent. So our installation is also complete. That's the effective utilization of time. That's how we call it a time management. My machine is ready and you are seeing it for the first time. So rising the curtain from Rocky 9. Hey Dora, you are working on Rocky 9 or CentOS 7 or which one? 8, which one? Dorian, this girl is crazy, you know that. Where is this girl? But this time, when I'll be visiting Seattle in February, March, I'll be meeting all of you. Last time I could not meet all. Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. You said you'll be waiting. Cool. So this is setup. When we install for the first time, when we start the machine first time, it display the same things. You remember the same thing was available in CentOS also. So first thing is this is a small screen. To make it full screen, we need to install a couple of software and guest additions on this. So let me switch to root user. Yes. Now I'm going to install the packages. DNF. First verify then internet is working by default or not. Ping google.com to verify. So by default, internet works, which never works with CentOS 7 and 8. On reboot, by default, internet never works. That's a good thing about that's a change. So all change, I keep a close watch what has changed. So earlier we used to, change the status. We need to enable the interface card in order to get the internet access. So by default, it was disabled. DNF install kernel hyphen headers, then curl git wget tree. These are some of the utilities which I'm planning to install. So let's run it. So this will install kernel headers. Kernel headers are required for my kernel modules for this Oracle Linux, which will make allow me to convert the machine to into full screen. Right now, I will not be able to see the full screen. So for that, I need kernel headers and the development. Kernel headers are already installed. That's a good thing. In fact, there's a git is already installed. That's interesting. Wget is already installed. Wonderful. So there's something called tweaks. There's GNOME tweaks, and I need that GNOME tweaks. This one. This GNOME tweaks will help me in changing the size and couple of other things like minimize, maximize button of Windows, which I'm more comfortable handling with. Yes. Now over amplification, appearance, like all these things are supported. Shell tweaks are not installed, so I need to install shell tweaks also. Button can be enabled or disabled here. Workspace, toolbar. So this one maximize was not available earlier. Now it is available. Minimize is now available. All these things are this happens with this tweaks. Device, insert guest additions. It will insert a CD. You need to run the CD. It will install and build kernel modules. So when you install guest additions, you will be able to see this screen, this entire Linux to full screen. GCC kernel headers, kernel development headers, packages are required. So if you have not selected those legacy and development tools, what I selected during my package selection, it will give you a tough time, hard time. It is not easy. So you need to install these things before you build these kernel modules using guest additions. It is done. Now I can press Ctrl F and I can see the full screen now. Let's install Ansible also. Okay, sudo su hyphen. So install which Ansible Python version is installed. That is interesting to watch. It is 3.9 latest version of Python will be installed. 3.6 is that means out. So Ansible will be installing. Ansible is not available. That means we have to check the EPEL repository. So DNF install EPEL. It is EPEL repository. EPEL release. I remember EPEL hyphen release. Once I install this, I'm sure I will be able to install Ansible as well. Let's check now. Because the repository EPEL offer a lot of additional packages. Extra packages, E stands for extension, extra packages. So extra package library, yes, you can see now Ansible is available. So watch out these things. Remember all these things comes from experience because I was aware. And but in Rocky 9, this Ansible is available in EPEL repository. So we need to enable EPEL first. Good thing, good to know. So now our Ansible is installed, is getting installed, and we'll check the Ansible version and Python 3 also. Let's check. Almost done. We'll see which version of Ansible. It is 5.4. Wow, that was 2.8. We have come a long way. Because in the screenshot it was 2.8 if you recollect. And now it is 5.4. Ansible hyphen V, oh, come on, hyphen version. So it is Ansible Core 2.12. But how come when it was showing me the package name as 2.8, when I was installing it was showing me 5 point something. Anyway, this is the this version is being installed. Correct. Now this is Ansible Python hyphen version 3.9, and let's install Jinja 2 also, and Python 3 pip also. DNF install Python 3 hyphen pip. This will be installed. So we are good to go. We are ready with the Ansible installation. That was the installation part.